how 2 historic houses became the new home of an art organization. This home takes energy efficiency to the next level.
That was a really key driver of how we shaped the home.
And finally, learn which neighborhood organized this massive mural. And it all starts right now on this edition of Iowa City in Focus. These homes behind me were bought by the city to be preserved and have since received historical landmark designation. After that was completed, the city decided to sell the homes to a nonprofit who could add culture to the community. This is the story of how Public Space 1 ended up in this Northside neighborhood.
And I think a lot of people haven't known about PS1 because it's been literally underground in various locations in the communities.
Public Space 1 was founded in 2002.
What I like to say is that we're an artist-led, community-driven, contemporary arts center.
Screenings, readings, workshops, performances. The group supports all kinds of art.
We have artists in leadership positions, and that we think overall as an ethos that artists' voices and ideas are really important to be a part of sort of shaping the world that we live in.
Over the years, the organization has called a few different places home, most recently operating out of the lower level of the Wesley Way Center.
We've been in a basement location for a while and we've done our best, but we've constantly spread out and taken over more of that space, but you're confined, there's nowhere else to go, right?
So when the chance to move above ground and claim a more permanent home popped up, PS1 leapt at the opportunity.
You want people to see what you're doing. Artists, they make work. It's called showing work. It's about people seeing that work and having that response to it. And for us, that was kind of the number one factor in this move is just trying to be more visible.
The city of Iowa City had purchased these 2 homes on the 200 block of North Gilbert Street from Mercy Hospitals. The original plan was to use them as part of the Universe City program, which refurbishes and sells homes in core neighborhoods to spur revitalization. However, these century-old homes were surrounded by commercial use in the Northside neighborhood. So instead, the goal was to find a nonprofit that would enhance arts and culture in the community.
You know, I think it's going to be a really great contributor to the sort of ecosystem of this neighborhood, which has kind of an arts writery kind of identity. Feels like a really good community to be finding a new home in.
Once their bids were accepted, the next step was renovations. At the same time, it was both exciting and overwhelming.
Natural materials like wood can look tired and they're also resilient. And so, you know, when we came in here, the floors were bad.
It's a type of work that's tedious, but rewarding.
You can start varnishing it and that's when you get the instant gratification moment.
While they contracted out some things, such as reshingling the roof, the large majority of labor was done the way the organization normally operates.
There's been an extraordinary amount of volunteer hours and labor that has gone into that. It's been really amazing.
While it was a major overhaul, great effort was taken to maintain the integrity of the space.
Ultimately, I feel like we're honoring the structure and celebrating it in its new chapter of relevancy 120 years after it was built.
I'm really excited. I almost could cry.
One of the biggest challenges of the move was the sheer size of the equipment from the Iowa City Press Co-op.
We can break up presses, a little bit into pieces, but some of the pieces are just insanely heavy. So this press that I'm next to, there are still parts that are missing because we disassembled some of it before the move, but it's easily 500 pounds.
Slowly, the pieces started to come together.
The Vandercook was the first thing to come in, and that was total excitement. Like, oh my goodness, we have our first press in, it's official, and then more things started coming in, and I had this moment of, okay, it's real. Now it's feeling like a lot.
The COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed our community.
We continue to see a lot of patients in our telemedicine clinic.
Our commitment to act with caution now is critical to reduce the impact on health, jobs, and the economy in the coming months.
Our governments, our school districts, our healthcare systems, these are all working together to help minimize the spread of this virus.
Until there is a vaccine that is successful and our community has broad-based immunity, I don't think we'll ever be out of the woods.
We're looking to open probably within a month of when everything started to shut down because of the pandemic.
Plans for a grand opening had to be set aside and focus shifted to virtual programming. Like all of us, PS1 had no sense of the longevity this crisis would have.
It's just funny thinking back on like the timeline of thoughts, like thinking, oh, well, we'll do like 1 month of virtual workshops in May, and thinking we'll just do this maybe once and then see where it goes from there. And now we're planning for our 3rd round of virtual workshops to go over the fall and winter.
How do we continue to be a vibrant arts community with this pressure that's going to be on us for, the next year or 2?
The pivot to virtual programming and hosting some outdoor events and improvements has helped fuel interest in the space.
There were things that we were going to do anyway, but I feel like became much more important. The Open Air Media Festival was like that. I heard people say like this is the first communal art event I've experienced in months. It feels really special just to be out here and experiencing art with other people.
Maybe we can work on some of these things that happen behind the scenes so that when we are able to bring more people in, we kind of hit the ground running.
Even during the pandemic and the year plus since we have been in these spaces, there's been such an outpouring of community support.
And while it's still uncertain when the space will be able to safely open to the public, the excitement for that day continues to build.
I'm excited about how these two structures can bring the organization above ground while still maintaining kind of its underground identity as a place for exciting and conceptual artwork and experiences to happen in the community.
I think it's really important for artists or anyone who likes to create to have a community that they can feel supported by.
There's a lot of reasons to be pessimistic these days, but I'm optimistic in the Iowa City arts landscape because I think there are a lot of organizations that are making the best of a bad time.
It's exciting to see someone come in and be like, wow, I didn't know that you could do this to a house. To be able to transform a house into an art space is still like a really exciting thing.
Here in Iowa City, we have a lot of great businesses doing their part to help achieve our climate action goals. The Climate Action at Work Awards is a program started this year to recognize the vital role these local merchants play in helping the city reduce greenhouse gas emissions. 5 businesses were recently selected as the first award recipients, one for each of the 5 sections of the city's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. We want to take a minute to congratulate them and tell you more about how they are leading the way and taking climate action.
In the buildings category, the city is proud to recognize Newman Munson architects with our first award. These local architects have designed more than 2.3 million square feet of LEED certified and net zero buildings throughout Iowa. They are now committed to design all buildings to be carbon neutral by 2030. In addition, they participate in a national research project called Energy Use Intensity, which collects and shares data on every project they do. Through this project, they are able to inform and inspire other building projects across the country with designs originating right here in Iowa City.
In the transportation category, the city is happy to present an award to Adamantine Spine Moving. This moving company powers 7 out of its 10 moving trucks with locally produced biodiesel blended into their fuel mix. The biodiesel is created from used cooking oil collected from local restaurants and food service providers. Adamantine Spine Moving also offers free pickup of emptied moving boxes from their customers, which they reuse 3 to 4 times. Their efforts to reuse both cooking oil and cardboard help keep valuable material out of the landfill. It has also reduced their overall carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 15% over the past 7 years.
Speaking of reducing materials sent to the landfill, Dumpling Darling is our winner in the waste management category. By partnering with the Compost Ninja, this local restaurant is able to compost 100% of its waste, from chopsticks and paper products to kitchen scraps. Customers are even able to return to-go containers to have them composted too. Dumpling Darling estimates sending roughly 240 pounds of waste material to be composted every week. That adds up to almost 41,000 pounds of waste diverted from the landfill since 2017. Customers won't find a single trash can in the dining area, just an innovative approach to managing organic waste.
In the Sustainable Lifestyle category, the award goes to Crowded Closet. This is a local business with a global impact. Crowded Closet collects second-hand items to be resold or upcycled. What can't be reused is processed for recycling, including 16.3 tons of metal and 81.6 tons of cloth and paper goods in 2019 alone. Proceeds from their efforts go to service organizations around the world working on sustainable agriculture, food security, water management, and other relief efforts. On the local level, Crowded Closet recently relocated to a larger facility that incorporated several energy efficiency design features. As a result, they decreased their energy usage by 10%, even while nearly doubling their operating space.
Our final winner is Old Brick in the adaptation category. This historic property serves as an event space and nonprofit incubator. Old Brick recently installed 1,435 square feet of permeable pavers in front of the building. Now, instead of draining into the city's stormwater system, rainwater is collected and directed to the ground below. There, deep layers of rock and sand below the patio absorb and filter the water before it passes back into the groundwater supply. This system absorbs stormwater runoff from a total drainage area of 4,435 square feet and helps keep moisture away from the foundation of the 165-year-old building.
The city is proud to have these great businesses call Iowa City home. You can read more about all the fantastic businesses that applied on the Climate Action at Work Awards page at www.icgov.org/climateawards. Many thanks to each of these businesses, and congratulations to those recognized with the awards.
Having an efficient home helps you prevent wasting energy while saving you money. The owner of the home behind me had the chance to build her house with maximum efficiency.
The whole house is designed to be green. Everything about it is green, from its foundation to its materials that are used on the exterior, to the kinds of windows it has, to the kind of ventilation it has. I'm Betty Norbeck, and I live at 1618 Muscatine Avenue. This lot became available about 4 years ago. It had previously had a house on it that was so decrepit that the city had to condemn it. Here, right in the middle of town, there was an open lot. Not only was it an open lot, but a lot that was available to Sun. And of course, the other opportunity, I had somebody who was very qualified to build it.
My mother is a very smart woman, so working with her was fun. And we went through a lot of different iterations, and we really talked about how she wanted to use this space. So we came into this project with two big goals. One was energy efficiency, and then the other big goal was aging in place. An accessory dwelling allows you to have a secondary dwelling so that you can increase the density of your lot.
It became possibility that at some point when I needed someone that might live close to me, that'd be able to help me with things, that I could exchange those services in exchange for reduced rent for that person who was going to stay there.
When you think about it, if you space your houses pretty far apart, you have to have more road, more sewer, more electrical lines, more water lines, and so it just uses a lot more materials. When you have more density, by adding an accessory dwelling unit, you can serve more people more affordably.
It's completely equipped with washer and dryer and full kitchen. It's a fully equipped living space. It's not just a place to hang your hat.
The most important thing to start off with is looking at the building envelope. What can you do to make that building envelope more efficient? If you take the concept of a cooler is very well insulated, it's very airtight.
It's kind of like if you have a glove or a mitten, you're losing a lot more heat on a glove, but if you have a mitten, you're holding that heat in, so you want a tight home.
Also important to a lot of individuals is the cost of energy over time. And so if you build a structure that's energy efficient, those costs to you are lower and the impact on the environment over time is less as well.
And we separated the units that serve the home, so you've got a mini split, which is an air-to-air heat pump that serves the main floor and the basement. And then you have a separate system that serves the upstairs. And they're both incredibly efficient.
This system works so well that my entire bill for energy for the entire year was $400. That was all accrued just during the winter months.
So by making a tight envelope, we could then put in these tiny systems to support this small demand, because heating is your #1 demand in the home, and then water heating comes after that. We have small water heaters that are sized for the demand, and they're located very close to the use. So the shower is 12 feet away from the water heater, and that is our longest run for our water. If you have 3 people in your home, you could be saving $150 a year just in hot water heating costs by switching out to a low-flow shower head.
Your wall structure, your windows, not only what windows you put in, but how many you put in.
So if you reduce before you produce, and if you tie together efficiency with the solar, you're going to make those energy dollars stretch further, and you're going to make that solar a more important part of the carbon solution, the climate action solution. So one of the tricky things about this house is it is surrounded by trees, and we also wanted solar power. So when I looked at having a single-story home, there was really nowhere to put the solar panels where they wouldn't be shaded a substantial portion of the year. So by looking at a second-story accessory dwelling, we were able to raise those panels up high enough so that they get sun exposure all year.
It's very low impact on the environment. We get that energy free from the sun, and that converts into energy. And long term, once your initial costs are offset, then that's basically free energy.
During the summer, we are currently giving American Energy more kilowatts than they're giving us.
This home is designed to perform 84% better than your average new code-compliant home. And so what that means is that for 6 to 8 months a year, she pays $8.59 a month.
We incorporated as many green, sustainable, energy efficient features that we could possibly imagine.
This home is a LEED Platinum home, and LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and there's only 2 LEED Platinum homes in the state of Iowa.
People should realize that anything they do that makes your house more green is a good idea. And sometimes you have to make decisions about which ones you can afford and which ones you think are a good trade-off in terms of what it's going to cost you.
Energy efficiency is very important. The energy resources that we have available to us now may not be there in the future.
Energy efficiency is something almost anyone can apply to their home. There are very few homes that don't have opportunities to improve their efficiency. And anyone can take part in reducing their energy bills as well as being a part of climate action.
Glass is 100% recyclable and can be used endlessly without loss in quality or purity. That's why it's so important that we recycle glass and not throw it in the trash where it eventually takes up space in our landfill. In this video, we are going to explain how to recycle glass, where it ends up going, and how it is reused to make new products. The most common question we get is, why doesn't Iowa City accept glass through curbside recycling? There are a couple of reasons. First is for the safety of our employees. Glass can easily break in transportation, creating a dangerous hazard to our curbside collectors and recycling processor. The second concern is contamination. The city uses single-stream recycling, which means all recyclable items are put into the same cart. All materials are then delivered to our contracted recycling processor to sort the materials. When glass is mixed with other recycling materials, such as plastic and paper, the broken pieces of glass contaminate the other recycling materials. In turn, the mix of materials actually dirties the glass, making it harder to recycle. To ensure we have a clean glass product that can be recycled, we keep our glass separate in Iowa City. The city accepts glass at any of its 3 drop-off locations in town: the Eastside Recycling Center, South Riverside Recycling Center, and the Iowa City Landfill and Recycling Center. The city collects and stores the glass at the landfill until it's ready to be shipped. Shipments of glass go to Ripple Glass in Kansas City, where it gets ground into small pieces known as collet. That material is then used in a variety of different products, including fiberglass insulation and beer bottles for boulevard brewing. By recycling glass, you help reduce air and water pollution, save energy used during the production process, recover valuable resources, and keep bottles and jars from taking up space in our landfill. Thanks for being part of the solution, Iowa City.
Murals create a sense of place. When done well, they represent the community and character of a neighborhood. Learn how this wall came to be a portrait of Iowa City's South District.
The mural is actually a piece of an art initiative in our neighborhood, trying to get more art into public spaces created by our children and youth of the South District. So we also went into the schools, had guest speakers. They got to work on their submissions in the classroom.
That's when we thought, let's see what the kids want. Let's see what all the neighborhood wants to see. They're the ones who are going to see it the most, you know. You know, it is an overlooked neighborhood. Even when we were trying to get funding for everything, for supplies and all that stuff, we were kind of shunned. We were told no a lot. But we kept on going. Angie kept on going, you know. It was really her efforts that made this happen. We're definitely the largest in Iowa City, and I think maybe second or third largest in Iowa. We decided, well, let's have them paint it too. And have them really invested in this wall, you know, like, look, I painted that tree, I painted that dog. Once we decided to do that, it really just started snowballing and got, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger until I have almost a finished wall that was done 80% by the community.
Safety was a huge factor. So in organizing, instead of having, come everyone, paint, we really needed to be mindful of who do we invite? Let's start with who sees it first. Let's start in our neighborhood. When they come, how do we communicate? We're gonna be wearing masks, we're gonna be social distancing, but we still want you to be together. The kids did such a great job. I'm so proud of my own kids, but also these bitty kids and some of the older kids who are also next to each other doing the same thing. It was so cool to watch the youth create their mural. I just have to say that was one of my favorite parts of all this. There's no way 2 years ago we would have known that all of this in our country and world was going to come to fruition. With that being said, the intent for this mural was to bring people together so that when we were next to each other painting, you got to meet somebody and figure out what you had in common. The fact that it all happened during this time, yes, it amplified how important those neighborhood connections, those resident connections are, but it absolutely speaks to, it's not just the neighborhood connections needing to be strengthened and tied together, it's that we're also tied to other things that also need to be looked at and need to have a voice. And so it's a micro piece of what personally I tried to do very well and collaborated so that at a macro level people can see it and be like, whoa, this mural happened at a time that it was needed most, but it's always been needed.
Just the feedback from the neighbors, the walker-bys, you know, like everybody who lives across the street, you know, I've built so many great connections and had so much fantastic feedback. Every day that I'm out here, it's a constant, hey, way to go, we love it, good job, keep going.
And it's a reminder of this is who we are. And painting it, having folks paint it that we're from the neighborhood, is also a reminder of look how powerful we are, that we get to create this. And for folks that come into the neighborhood, they get a glimpse of how special and amazing we are here in this part of town.
That's our show. We'll be back soon with another edition of Iowa City in Focus.